Welcome to the Milk Row Cemetery here on Somerville Avenue. And this is owned by the City of Somerville now, and we have been working on preserving and restoring it for a number of years since we did a master plan back in 2002. Today is an annual event that we've been doing, and we're very happy to welcome people into the cemetery, which normally is closed by the gates, in order to have them find out a little bit more about who is actually residing here and some of the history. And I know that there's a number of stations that people have been visiting, and so the purpose today is to have some of the residents here come alive for the day and talk a little bit about what life was like when they were originally living here. And this is an opportunity to ask questions and engage with the people that are here. The Civil War Monument, of course, represents a number of people that were part of the Civil War. And so that's why we have a couple more people over there. We also have a docent program that we open the cemetery twice a month on Thursday evenings and on Sundays. And so you should check the calendar if you want to come by if you missed it today. But it will be ending at the end of this month in October and start up again in May. So hope you'll come by.
Hello, I'm Emmeline Dane. This is the grave of my mother. I am the daughter of Osgood Dane, and you might see later, but that is my great-great-grandmother. I lived on Milk Row, which is now, as you know, Somerville Ave. Our house was the Ireland house, so if you came from Ireland, maybe you'd stop by. It'd be very comforting. There is Dane Street, which was, after us, the Dane family. We were here for a long time. My father worked at the quarry. There were a couple. He worked at the one by Laurel Street. He sold slate and granite and made headstones or other foundations. Our house was actually the oldest on Somerville Ave, 461. You can always check it out. It's very interesting.
Hello, my name is Samuel Tufts. I'm the founder of the cemetery. So I was a farmer in the 1700s. So to the west and south of the cemetery used to be my farm. And I founded this cemetery so that I can bury relatives of my family, of the Tufts family, and also friends of the Tufts family. So as you see here along this brick wall, Timothy Tufts, my brother, and so on, my sons, my grandchildren, are all buried here. So one thing interesting about the cemetery is that on this brick wall, each of the burials is a family tomb, so that an entire family would be buried together.
So I'm the domestic slave of Samuel Tufts. It's very different from a plantation slave in the South in that I just do housework and other various tasks that my master requires me to do. And so it's not been particularly difficult work, but it's been difficult not having my freedom, which is why I decided to help in the Revolutionary War by making musket balls for the rebels in hopes that I could get my freedom by doing that.
I'm widow Anna Rand, buried between my son and his wife, my daughter-in-law, and I was born in 1737. I died in 1831. I was 94 years old. I knew that the redcoats would have to return to their ships after marching all the way to Lexington and Concord. And so knowing they would have to be returning, I alarmed Samuel Tufts, my lifelong friend. We were born the same year and died within 2 years of each other. But the redcoats were coming, and we had to alarm our militia. So together, we yelled to the people, "The redcoats are coming, the redcoats are coming." And by the time that the redcoats had made their way back via Milk Row from Lexington and Concord, we were ready, and we fought them. And it was a battle that Somerville is very proud of.
My name is Rob Lee. I'm a member of His Majesty's 10th Regiment of Foot in America, based in Lexington, Massachusetts. We're here today representing the Bootbox Soldier, a British regular that was killed during the retreat back to Boston along Battle Road. The Bootbox Soldier was one of the British regulars in the column of 1800 that returning from Lexington conquered on April 19th, 1775. A local citizen fired into the column and killed this soldier. The citizen realized that he should remove the body and conceal it, and he told no one. Apparently 75 years later, the body was discovered during renovations on the citizen's farm, and the local citizenry decided to bury him in a wooden box, a boot box, here in the cemetery.
I'm Private Niehaus of His Majesty's 10th Regiment of Foot out of Lexington. And as the sergeant said, we are here to honor a fallen soldier. Grenadier, perhaps, because he fell in the rear guard, having white belting and some red coat. And that sounds like a grenadier. And he was shot by a local. Did you cover that? All right then. So, and the local could be buried here, which is rather interesting that they're finally together after all these years. But it happened on the rear guard. It happened as they approached the wharf, which is maybe a half mile from here. So a very sorrowful end to a good soldier.
We do have a poem about the soldier, though. The unknown British regular. I rise to the sound of revelry. 'Tis cold and dank below. Where worms and mold have had their fill, my body grass doth grow. My name unknown except to God, but my soldier rank is clear. I was a British regular and died not far from here. Who knows what thoughts went through my head when a soldier's course I chose? The broadside said, noble work, good money, and there followed glorious prose. So here I lie and here I'll stay unless some twist of fate shall relieve me of my shoebox and bury me in good state. Now consider this, my friends, stop and you will hear a verse of mild amusement, but true enough, 'tis clear. Linger here and cast an eye. As you are now, so once was I. As I am now, so you must be. Prepare for death, you'll follow me.
Shoulder firelocks. To the right, to the left, face. Rest your firelocks. Shoulder your firelocks. Right face. Order your firelocks. Ease arms, clasp hands, stand easy. Take a drink. Thank you, very water.
My name is Sarah Wardwell, and I am an accused witch. Hast thou heard of the Salem witch trials? Didst thou know that many of those accused resided not from that town, but lived in Andover, including Deliverance Dane and Mary Osgood, two names which may be familiar to thee. And some of those who testified lived in Medford and Malden, including Peter Tufts and Nathaniel Putnam. Peter Tufts' daughter-in-law was Mary Putnam, and it is thought by some that the Putnams accused others of witchcraft for land gain. But we must not speak ill of the dead. To the Puritans, witches were as real as ever and could cast their spells anytime during the day or night. And so when my husband, Samuel Wardwell, was accused in 1692 for causing various calamities, I hardly knew what to think. But then so was I accused, and so was my daughter, and many hundreds more. And all of us were thrown in jail, my accusation being that I struck down Martha Sprague only with my eyes. And it was just a period of mass hysteria. Governor Phipps finally came back from working with the Crown and found that 20 people had actually been hung. One person had been crushed to death. And he knew some of these people and doubted not that they were good souls. And so he ended the tribunals and had everybody who was being held on spectral evidence released from jail. And so I was released and my daughter was released. But unfortunately for my husband, he was not. And he was one of the last to hang. And 20 years later, the colony finally paid us back the funds that they had taken from us and had even charged me for being in jail. They had seized my land, they had seized my cows. 20 years later, my name was finally cleared. And over 100 years later, the families of my descendant Osgood Dane were buried here in Milk Row Cemetery, alongside the descendant of one of the accusers, Samuel Tufts, being the descendant of Peter Tufts. And they're buried here together in Milk Row Cemetery.